Hi, I'm Riley McManus. Welcome to Word for Word, where we offer you an in-depth look at some of our interviews with the newsmakers from across the region. You'll have the opportunity to hear word for word how they responded to the news of the day. The Ford government has made a historic investment into veterinary training in this region. The provincial budget contains over $14 million for Lakehead University to collaborate with the University of Guelph to expand their vet program to LU.
So, Dr. Pearson, what does the inclusion of this veterinary program in the provincial budget mean for Lakehead?
Oh, this is just such an exciting announcement. We're so pleased. We're so thankful to the Government of Ontario for seeing the vision of this important project. But the project will result in new veterinary intake starting with 20 students each year from the north that will ultimately greatly expand the veterinary capacity in Northern Ontario by 20%.
How much of a role did Lakehead University have in this, or were you kind of just like leaning up to the government, nudging, "Hey, this is a good idea," or was this just completely taking you by random that they decided to pick you at random?
No, absolutely not. So the president of University of Guelph, Charlotte Yates, and myself, about two and a half years ago, we started thinking about this collaboration, and we started growing from a seed into an actual idea, an initiative, and then we took that initiative to our internal teams and decided this was a great step forward for increasing vet capacity in Ontario and particularly in the north.
We spoke a little bit about it off camera, but once again, just how much of the funding is Lakehead University going to actually receiving from the government?
Well, the Government of Ontario has committed to funding 20 additional students each year coming into the program from the north, a northern cohort. And in addition, they've committed $14.7 million towards the development of necessary infrastructure, both here on this in this community as well as at the University of Guelph.
During the years that you and your colleague in Guelph spent working on this proposal, what did you find out about the need for more veterinary resources in the north?
Well, the need, I mean, we already knew that there was a critical shortage in the north. We learned just how dire it is. It's dire across Canada, but in Ontario and particularly in the north, it's just incredible. There is a shortage that is probably going to require, a 4% increase across the country to start to meet the workforce demands. And in the north, we need to have veterinaries trained for northern and rural community practice that will meet and grow the agri-food industry as well as meet the needs of domestic pet owners.
What's incentivizing them, once they go through their program here at LU with the funding, what's incentivizing them to stay here?
Well, Lakehead University has a proven track record for recruiting and retaining students when they graduate and come back to the north. Some great examples are our nursing graduates, our graduates of education and of law, but we have many other programs where students train here and they come back and practice here if they head off for additional qualifications. So we've got best practices in recruitment and retention that helps encourage students to come back. We will also have components in the curriculum that will ensure that they are doing placements in the north, internships in the north over the summer, internships with community partners and organizations. And we'll also be offering a micro-credential in business that will help these students learn how to set up professional practices in the north. So it's the combination of all of these practices that we have lots of experience and success with that will help encourage these students to come back to practice in the north.
And what will this program look like once it's established? Will students be learning at both Guelph and Lakehead campuses? And are there capital needs for this campus that will be addressed before that can happen?
Great question. So first of all, students will start year one at Lakehead University, and they'll do year one and year two here. Will also be linked into organizations and clinics to start to get the hands-on training. We'll do year 3 and year 4 at the University of Guelph, but still maintaining those connections to the northern communities and organizations and clinics. And then the plan is they will come back and practice in the north. Your second question about infrastructure. So one of the great things about this funding announcement yesterday is that we will have a major chunk to start us with the development of a special veterinary science training facility that will be built in Thunder Bay, and that'll be a necessary component of the curriculum.
How much of the funding do you think will go towards that facility?
We believe that about $4.5 million will come to help us with the development of this facility. We also had an early commitment that was just really instrumental to this proposal from CEDC, the Community Economic Development Corporation of Thunder Bay, and supported by the City of Thunder Bay. We're going to be putting in some more funding applications, and we also have our external relations team seeking philanthropic support. So we're very confident we're going to be able to create the necessary facility for this program.
And as what's gotten out about this proposal over the last couple of years, there's been strong community support. You mentioned the CDC, municipal leaders from not only Thunder Bay but across the region and have also showed support. Just how instrumental do you think that was helping this get on the government's radar and ultimately getting this commitment?
Oh, absolutely. That support was fundamental to us being able to go forward with this proposal. Starting 2 years ago, we started advocating for the project, and right away we were receiving, many letters, many discussions and shows of support from from municipal leaders, from CEDC, from the city, from our MPPs. MPP Holland was instrumental in us being able to move forward and seek support from the ministries. So the show of support has just been overwhelming particularly in the last year.
Confederation College hosted its first ever Indigenous Open House Saturday. It was an opportunity for future and current Indigenous students to learn more about what the school has to offer them and ensure an easy transition into post-secondary life.
Just a general first question off the top. Tell me a little bit about today's open house. What can people expect when they come through?
Yeah, so today is an Indigenous open house. It's meant to invite Indigenous students and their families onto campus. It's giving them an opportunity to talk to program coordinators, recruitment officers. They have the chance to apply right on the spot today because it's not too late to apply to college. We're also doing general tours as well as a free lunch for people to come in, sit down, kind of just relax and get the feel of the community here at the college.
Perfect. Let's a little bit about the tours, because that's probably an interesting point for a lot of these prospective students. What could they expect from that experience?
Yeah, so I'll be highlighting some of the services here on campus. So whether that is our Student Success Center, where students get accessibility services and counseling services, as well as some of our lab spaces. So whether that's foundations and our mock gel cells, or some of our nursing labs as well.
Okay, and obviously Indigenous specific today for the open house. Tell me about the importance of that and how that might make these students feel a little more welcome coming into this environment.
Yeah, definitely. It can be really overwhelming, especially if you're coming from northern communities and remote communities. I know myself, I moved from southern Ontario to northern Ontario, and that was a big adjustment on its own, even though coming from a big city, I kind of moved from something big to small, but it was still an adjustment, a little bit of culture shock. So I just want people to know that the college is welcome. It's open. It's a community. We all come together and support each other. There's tons of Indigenous services on campus, and we just wanted the opportunity to highlight our amazing staff and faculty.
And reading through the release, this says it is the first one the college has put on. Tell me about the decision to make the open house specifically for prospective Indigenous students. What was the little bit of background on that?
Yeah, well, we have so many great services for our Indigenous students, and sometimes they kind of get lost with general students. So sometimes our open houses for the general public, our Indigenous students get a bit lost, or they don't feel like they have the space here. So I just wanted to make sure that they knew that they were welcome on campus.
I guess that's all I was looking for mainly. Anything I might have missed that you'd like to add on the event as a whole? Anything along those lines?
I mean, come out, bring your families, everybody's welcome. We're always welcoming, and you can come into Apuin, our Indigenous student lounge, anytime. So if you miss today, you can always come in at any rate.
The first ship of the season has arrived at the port of Thunder Bay. The MV Harvest Spirit crossed Thunder Bay's breakwall at 5 a.m. on Sunday morning, signaling the beginning of the 2023 shipping season. The Harvest Spirit arrived from Cleveland, and the vessel was led by Captain Adam Hagen and Chief Engineer Gavin Pink, who were both honored in a traditional top hat ceremony for navigating the first ship into the port.
Well, first of all, Captain, what does it mean to have captained the first ship into the harbor here in the Port of Thunder Bay?
It's quite an honor. We know that Thunder Bay is one of our main ports of call. This is my first time captaining in the first ship of the year, and you know, anything to promote the industry. As I feel that things are on the up and up with the shipping industry, with the price of fuel, and a lot of the environmental implications that are coming lately. Definitely shipping anything by water is many times more environmentally friendly and efficient than by rail and certainly by truck.
Being the first ship in for the year, though, and this being also your first time, this is actually got to be very exciting for you. You know, we were talking earlier about your 23 years in the industry.
Correct. It is quite exciting. I'm happy to lead the charge this year, as well as. It is quite an honor, as I read in the top hat, as some of the old captains that I'm now associated with. It is quite an honor and another feather in the cap, I suppose.
What does the top hat represent exactly?
Well, the top hat is an old tradition that they give to the first captain of the year that's in it, and as you'll see from on the inside here, there's a lot of old captains that have signed on here, and some of them I recognize, gentlemen that I've had the pleasure of working with and working for over the years. So it's a bit of a club, I guess, and I'm happy to be a part of it.
And again, where did this ship come in from again?
We came in, last port of call was Cleveland, Ohio, where we unloaded a load of steel coils, and this is going to be our main port of call. Throughout the year, we'll be grain out of the lakehead here, and we'll be running a lot of steel coils either out of Sault Ste. Marie or Nanticoke, Ontario to American ports.
Yeah, just once again, it was steel that you were transporting here?
No. So we came up in ballast, and we're taking grain from the lakehead here, which is going to be our primary load, down to Windsor, Ontario.
And again, what are you expecting for this upcoming shipping season this summer?
We have a full book of business all year. It's quite an exciting time, actually, especially working with McKeel's. We're a growing company. We have nice ships on the newer side, and we're a pretty good employer. As we grow, bringing more and more people into the shipping industry, and they're a great proponent of hiring new people, from promoting from within. And it's like I said, it's good for the industry. It's good for everybody, for jobs, for efficiency, for environmental impact. The shipping industry, it's an exciting time right now.
We don't really hear too often, you know, you'd met up, you know, bringing on jobs, bringing in new people. We don't often hear, you know, shortcomings within the fast food sector or within manufacturing, things like that. What's shipping been like the past couple of years? Has there been a real drive to bring more people on board, or? There
has. It's we're kind of getting to the peak of shipping. It's been a bit of what we call a sailor's market, where labor is definitely at a premium right now, and it's extremely hard as more and more regulations come in for people to meet those regulations. Certainly as captain, but my colleague there, the chief engineer, as well as deck officers and engineering officers. The regulations are getting more and more, but thankfully there's schools like Georgian College in Owen Sound who do a great job training these people. So for younger people, it's an exciting industry to get into. So myself, I went to high school and went to university because that's just what you did. Finished university and went and worked in an office, and however, when I was in school in the summers, I would work out on the ships as a deckhand. Finished university and decided that I wanted to continue on with sailing. So to any young people coming up in high school right now, this is a wonderful industry that pays very well, as well as gives you 6 months vacation a year. There's really nothing like it. And as far as the Canadian shipping industry, as well as the American shipping industry, this is the pinnacle of shipping. There's sailors all over the world trying to get jobs in the Canadian shipping industry. So this is right in your backyard, and it's a great life.
Have you spent your entire career only on the Great Lakes, or have you actually ventured out into the saltwater regions?
I've been up and down the eastern seaboard and out as far as Newfoundland. I haven't done any transatlantic crossings yet. However, it's the working on the Great Lakes is, as I said before, it is the pinnacle as far as pay, as far as time off, working conditions, and so on. So there's people all over the world trying to get these jobs, and so we're very, very lucky to have them. And as far as the time off, I'm on a 6-month contract throughout the year. So I live with my wife and kids in New Zealand throughout the year, and I travel back and forth on a 5-week on, 5-week off schedule. So to anybody who likes to travel, who likes to work hard, make money, and also have fun out here, it's an excellent industry, and we're all very proud of what we built here.
Mr. Heaney, we'll just get right into this. Obviously, first ship making its way in here, just did the top hat ceremony. Just your thoughts on it making its way here today?
Well, first thing, it's a sign of spring for us, and this time of year, once the first ship comes in, this is the furthest inland port in Canada, so we see the commerce starting up again. It's a pretty exciting time for us, and everyone's optimistic. So I think it's great day, beautiful weather, perfect. Yeah.
Offhand, do you know if this is the earliest you've had this, or is this the?
No, it's not a record. In fact, it's kind of dictated. This is the first lake vessel, and it's dictated by the opening of the Soo Lock, which really doesn't vary much over the years. So the record's kind of held by that, really. So ocean's a little different because there's more variability on that, but the lake vessel not so much.
How important is shipping to Thunder Bay?
Well, it's the biggest industrial employer in the city, also the biggest taxpayer as far as an industry goes collectively in the city as well. So it's pretty important. There's about 900 people working around the port and its port services, so it's pretty critical for the health of the economy.
What does the season kind of look like for you, just from a snapshot based off of today?
Well, it's pretty positive. Like the grain was down a bit last year, but the harvest bounced back last fall. It's a good harvest, so we're going to have a lot first half of the year to move. And last year was a 30-year high in potash, which was kind of an offshoot of the Ukrainian situation. We see that continuing. Project cargo, we have a large lineup going into Kiefer this year: wind turbines, pipe, rail, and fertilizer as well. We're bringing in phosphates to bring into Manitoba. So I think everything's looking very positive on all fronts, really, for us.
Sorry, any of those shipments that you see as the most important to Thunder Bay or the surrounding area?
Well, in Kiefer, unloading these ocean vessels with steel products, it's a lot more labor intensive than grains. So the more we get, the more impact there is on the economy and the labor force. So it's been steady work, year round pretty much now, loading the product out all winter. So it's been good for us, yeah. It's looking up.
Thanks for joining us for today's edition of Word for Word. We'll be back again tomorrow with more interviews from across the Northwest.